The sleeping giant named humanity evokes a powerful image within the galaxy. Humanity, renowned as the premier trading power, ensures that any desired commodity reaches its destination without fail. Their X-class super freighters, marvels of engineering, can transport over 1 billion tons of raw materials and luxury goods. Crewed by dedicated turns, these vessels guarantee the safe passage of goods, shielded from interference thanks to humanity's strategic location 25,000 light-years from the galactic core. Despite their isolation, humanity's reach is swift, taking just under a turn-month to traverse vast distances. They pride themselves on pacifism, abstaining from galactic conflicts, which was put to the test during the Tidunk War. Humanity maintained neutrality, supplying both sides with essential resources like food and water, citing humanitarian reasons to protect civilians caught in the crossfire. Delving into humanity's history, researchers uncovered a pivotal event a century prior, the War to End History. This conflict shaped their ethos, leading to a solemn vow to protect civilians at all costs. This principle confounded galactic norms where wartime sacrifices were commonplace for strategic gains. However, when humanity witnessed the brutal bombing of IMA by Tit forces, they abruptly halted all shipments to Tit territories, even recalling vessels already en route. This principled stand, refusing complicity in civilian casualties, infuriated the Tit government, perceiving it as an act of aggression. Despite Tit outrage, retaliation was impractical due to humanity's distance and formidable reputation. Consequently, the galaxy watched as Tit society collapsed into internal strife, a consequence humanity couldn't bear to prolong. Yet, when humanity attempted to intervene peacefully, they were met with hostility from Tit civilians and government alike, who saw their actions as weak-willed. Recognizing their divergence from galactic norms, humanity accepted their perceived eccentricity. They vowed to continue trading with the core but vowed to refrain from directly aiding warring factions, a stance that earned them respect but also branded them as vulnerable in the eyes of potential adversaries. With their abundant resources, anyone within range found easy pickings. This accessibility was crucial, as it took weeks for any fleet to traverse the necessary space and reach the border of the Tan Federation, and even more time to reach Terra itself. Thus, only two empires were capable of such a feat: the Fava Empire and the District Empire. The District, neutral to the Turn and known for their militarism, favored the Turn's chances in battle, quoting, "You never unlearn the art of war." In contrast, the Fava were strongly opposed to the Turn. These two species had numerous close encounters, especially when super freighters were fired upon for trespassing into Fava space. The situation escalated for the Fava when one of their stars went supernova, devastating a significant portion of their agricultural output, leading to famine. Desperate for food, the Fava covertly sponsored attacks on super freighters to procure meals for their starving population. These were mostly peaceful hijackings, snatching super freighters and retreating into Fava territory. Despite Fava denials of involvement, tensions heightened as the Turn began arming their super freighters as a precaution. This covert arming led to a proxy war between the Turn and the Fava, although only the Turn realized they were engaged in one. Tensions peaked when the Fava committed a massacre overnight, leading the Turn to accuse them not of harboring pirates, but of sheltering terrorists. Demanding the surrender of the responsible parties, the Turn were met with feigned ignorance from the Fava, who claimed the pirates were not under their control. In response, the Turn threatened war unless the perpetrators were handed over. The Fava Queen defiantly agreed, unable to comply as the responsible individuals were high-level commanders crucial to their society. Compared to the Turn, the Fava mobilized their fleets swiftly due to recent conflicts, launching their first war fleets just 6 months after hostilities began. Anticipating heavily fortified planets near the border, the Fava took a longer route to avoid detection by Turn scanners. Upon reaching the Fail system, they caught its defenses off guard and swiftly overcame them. This attack was intended as a statement of power, demonstrating the Fava's capability to strike anywhere. However, it inadvertently stoked humanity's fury even more. Following the attack, a Turn diplomat's statement was widely publicized across the galaxy, metaphorically warning about awakening a sleeping giant of war. Initially interpreted in various ways by different races, The speech eventually became associated with the Tern's resolve to defend themselves. Despite initial successes, the Fava's subsequent attacks faced stiffer resistance and increasing losses. The Fava commander, recognizing the mounting costs, claimed victory before the Galactic Council, boasting about their conquest over the Tern. However, all eyes turned to the Tern ambassador, who calmly used the same metaphorical language as their earlier statement. They emphasized that true war does not begin until the giant has breakfasted, geared up, and taken up arms. In essence, implying that the Tern were far from beaten and would respond more vigorously. Thus, the conflict continued to unfold, with both sides preparing for the next phase of what was shaping up to be a prolonged and bitter war. The scene unfolds with tension between two factions, the Fava and the Tan, in a galactic conflict. The Tan, represented by a stern female figure, admonishes the Fava ambassador, who initially laughs off her warning about the seriousness of the situation. The ambassador's laughter suggests an underestimation of the Tan's military capability and strategy in war. The Tan rises, her bright blue eyes reflecting seriousness and determination, as she explains an analogy about war using a forge and iron. She compares the Fava and their race to iron, implying that they are about to face a destructive force that will test their strength and resilience. The forge analogy underscores that challenges in war must be met strategically and with preparation, implying that the Fava's complacency will lead to dire consequences. As the Tan leaves, her words foreshadow impending conflict and reveal that the Tan have been secretly preparing a massive military response. The passage shifts to describe the Tan's military preparations, including the construction of advanced weaponry and the mobilization of a vast armada. This preparation is kept clandestine until it is activated on January 25th in the Tan calendar, signaling the commencement of their offensive against the Fava Empire. The Tan's military movement is described as unprecedented, with ships traveling faster than light and converging on Fava space like a formidable wall. Despite the Fava's attempts to bolster their defenses, they are quickly overwhelmed by the sheer scale and power of the Tan's assault. The Tan strategy involves overwhelming force and swift strikes, decimating Fava outposts and systems with alarming speed. The passage ends with the Fava leadership scrambling to gather intelligence and prepare defenses against the Tan's onslaught. They learn details about the Tan's military tactics, including the deployment of a devastating front known as the Planet Killer, which aims to obliterate everything in its path en route to capturing strategic objectives. Overall, the passage sets the stage for a galactic conflict of epic proportions, highlighting themes of military strategy, preparation, and the consequences of underestimating an opponent in war. It paints a vivid picture of imminent danger and the stark realities faced by the Fava as they confront the overwhelming might of the Tan military machine. The situation unfolded with grave intensity as the Terran forces systematically secured nearby planets, ensuring ample supplies and munitions for their main front. However, the unexpected twist was Terran's utilization of projectile weapons, which posed a stark challenge. Unlike lasers easily countered by shields, these required thick armor for defense. In response, the Fava Empire swiftly fortified their warships, mobilizing all available military assets to Jura Prime in a final stand against the impending Terran onslaught. When the Terran finally arrived, instead of a direct assault on Jura Prime, they maneuvered into neighboring systems, signaling an encirclement strategy. Panic gripped those within the system as the realization dawned that Terran intended to surround and isolate Jura Prime completely. Citizens either hastily fled or prepared for a defensive struggle, bracing for the worst. Weeks passed with the Terran maintaining their position, until a sudden emergency meeting was called by the Terran ambassador within the galactic conglomerate. She declared that unless the Fava Empire unconditionally surrendered to Terran forces, they would obliterate the entire Jura system, home to 58 billion Favia, using the imminent supernova of the Jura star. The death toll threatened to exceed 100 billion, plunging what remained of the Fava Empire into chaos. In a chilling twist, it was revealed that the Fava ambassador had tragically taken his own life upon receiving news of the emergency meeting, and in turn, unexpectedly thrust into the role, was now tasked with deciding the fate of his people. Overwhelmed, the intern momentarily collapsed before regaining composure to address the urgent call from the Fava Queen. who opted to accept the Terran's terms for peace. With the deal accepted, the formidable Terran military withdrew from Jura Prime, leaving behind a solemn message, a hope that the giant of war they had witnessed would remain dormant. It served as a stark reminder of the destructive potential held by advanced civilizations, urging all to learn from past conflicts to ensure such devastation never awakens again. Thus, the galaxy cautiously moved forward, mindful of the delicate balance needed to keep the specter of war at bay.